What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 37 of my Total War Warhammer 3 Thorgrim Grudgebearer Old World campaign. I'm pretty sure there should be a modded in there somewhere, but I think you guys got the gist by now. Anyway, as we saw last time, Oldest Helheim arrived in the north and his hammerers and his gyrocopters have begun taking the territory of the Cornate faction up here, Karnath's sons, who've been kind of situated between us and our allies, and obviously that cannot stand. Between the episodes, I've also began, or maybe not began, but continued trading some territories between us and our allies, and sort of between them as well, as in taking a territory from our ally and then trading it back to us and then back to another ally, etc., so that they generally have full provinces. We now have the full East Nalfari Mountains here, and if we can manage it, we'll probably try to take this portion here, because it kind of bothers me that, you know, it's kind of in the middle of our territory, so some of this will go to trade for that, if we can manage to pull that off. I also did a few territory swaps between the Ice Court and the Great Orthodoxy. The Great Orthodoxy now holds the entirety of the River Linsk province, which used to be the Ice Court at Vitsi, and then us, but before that, the Undead and Zhedevka, so good for them. And yeah, very nice. They're looking like some nice contiguous empires, and we're working on the contiguity of the actual empire as well. Pretty nice. Still got to get to work on Bretonia, but, well, generally speaking, we still have a bunch of stuff to do, so let's get to doing. Thorgrim, I'm going to start today, and, I guess it's time for you to start moving towards Eltharion. I mean, I'm pretty sure Belegar can handle Bog Creeper Camp by itself, and then maybe even move north to the Citadel of Myrmidia, because I fear that Gelt by himself will not be able to deal with it. But that's fine. Are you strong enough, Asavar, to take one of these territories? Let me just see here. Oh, you might be able to take Oragor. Although, he'd actually have to march a fairly long time to get towards it. Crow's Edge is closer. I'm just going to assume that you'll be okay. It's not much. Anyway, Thorgrim, you are going to start marching this way, I guess. We might even have you just briefly stop on by and knock these Skaven out, because they're kind of in the way, so there's that to consider. Joseph of Zorn, you're going to head to Ruined Landing, and we are still looking for Malus and his main stacks. We know they're around some... Oh, wouldn't you know? Malus are right there. And we've got the super elite garrison of the Ruined Landing. I think this is the best opportunity for Mr. Joseph of Zorn to have a really good fight. How? By besieging the place and allowing Malus to attack us with 2.5 stacks and all the elites he can muster. Can someone finally challenge Joseph of Zorn? I guess we're gonna have to find out. Let's get you some points, though, because you will get attack here. Now, we don't need Honored by Grimnir. I think we have all the red line stuff that we need here, so let's get your Blade Shield. I don't really care for Locked and Loaded, but we can get Seasoned Marksman and then break open the casks. 10 points remaining. Obviously, Rune of Grimnir is an easy pick, and 8 points. I guess assuming that we don't need to... Oh! We have a Gyrocopters of Brimstone guns, so we could get you Tradition and Innovation to power them up slightly, rather than wasting points on stuff you don't necessarily need here. Tactician doesn't help in this particular army, with the exception of that one Grudge Thrower, and it's probably not worth it. I mean, 6 points just to power up the single unit, and it only increases its missile strength, whereas, well... I mean, it is a fire-damaging unit, but I'll think about it. Either way, let's do Tradition and Innovation for you. We definitely want the Brimstone guns to have more ammunition, since they do run out. We don't really care about Obdurate. Ancestral Grudge is melee, and by and large not super useful to you. The hit points is okay, but it's not that many. Speed, what's your current speed? 35. You are a little bit slow. I mean, frankly, we might get more mileage out of just slightly powering up that, the stone with your name there, because everybody else is as powered up as they're going to be, and we don't really have any points that we need to really, apply anywhere else. And just out of curiosity, how fast is everybody else in the army? 39, 33, so the slowest are the 2 units of Iron Drakes, and you move roughly as fast as the Iron Drake, so frankly the extra speed probably isn't going to help you all that much. Yeah, I guess we're going to go for Scarred Vet, which gives us 2 points. Forgo the Wound Maker, because, I mean, if you're fighting in melee, you really shouldn't be fighting in melee. And then I guess we'll do the last 3 points for that one artillery piece. Man, this guy has certainly spread his points out among all the different types of units he has, but that's alright. Fortunately, the guildmasters aren't super reliant on those. Anyway, the 2 engineers should probably buff up the gyrocopters with brimstone guns, and, well, frankly, we could buff up the single grudge thrower as well. Why not? Grudge thrower mastery into reinforced rotors, unless I'm mistaken, like so, and we have 7 points remaining. Probably should get Sapper to speed everybody up a little bit. Adamant plating, organ gun mastery, cannon mastery, bow thrower mastery, none of those are needed. We are the elite we have. I guess the next one would be to get Rune of Grimnir, and we could go through increased mobility since I haven't been doing that anywhere. Maybe. It's not like you need speed. You're fine. Alrighty, that looks good to me. What about the other engineer? You are missing Sapper still. You can still get Grudge Thrower Mastery. You have Flame Cannon Mastery, obviously. You can get Reinforced Rotors. Sapper, alright, Rune of Grimnir, and then 2 points in increased mobility. Lovely. Thane, level 34 now. And let's see, you can start being built out as a fighter, I guess. So let's go Blade Master, hard to hit, 1 point to Deadly Blade. Somebody's gonna have to hold Malice back and, you know, away from the rest of the army. Blade Shield into... Oh, actually, you get you get even less benefit from Scarred Vet than the Lord does. Let's get your Woundmaker, make it hit a little bit harder, and then into Indomitable. Lastly, the Runesmith. Now, we are the elite, you have sharpened weapons. What we don't have is Rune of Breaking through Strike the Runes, and into Learned Intuition, Accomplished Runesmithing, and Rune Master. Lovely. And then I guess we could go through this in order to try to eventually get to Rune of Sanctuary. Though admittedly, Rune of Grimnir is still quite useful. It's not as useful on you as it is on the other heroes. So, ooh, I probably should have gotten a point in damping. But I'm not going to redo that whole thing, so let's just keep it as it is. There you go, Joseph of Zorn. You're good as you are. Grimly, I believe, has to spend one more turn here healing. And if he gets attacked by Billy and Slaneshi, he gets attacked by Billy and Slaneshi. That's fine. He's probably used to it. Grumbrindle, you... Oh, hello. Oh, the full stack that was here has run away. You cowards. Alright, fine, fair enough. Gromby, I would like you to maybe sack Monolith of Beorg. I'm gonna hope that the auto-resolve doesn't do anything. Okay, let's also quick save this just in case. Can't be trusting it not to crash now. And no, we're more or less fine. We will sack. And then that would allow us to... Oh! That'll allow us to crash. That's what it'll allow us to do. I'm glad I clicked save. Alrighty, I'll be back. Alright, there we go. Fool me once, game. Shame on you. Fool me like 30 times. Damn it. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying we're gonna sack this, and oh, damn, I didn't make you stop backing up, but you should still have plenty of movement to be able to get to Mr. Arvex here. Go hunt him down. You don't need the Hunter's Talon. We don't need the Archivists anymore, or the Powder Makers, or really any ancillaries. Anyway, quick save and back to auto-resolve. And that will damage us a little bit more, I'd wager. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it damaged the single entities. That's kind of interesting. It's actually a lot more annoying than damaging the non-single entities. What can you do? On the bright side, though, Goromadny Hold is their capital, and it has as elite a garrison as we're likely to find here, plus a full stack, plus a little bit of another stack, so they might actually be willing to fight Grumbrindle, and it'll be one of those rare situations where, well, it's actually worthy of Grumbrindle's attention, as in an actual fight. I'm not going to bother with the skill points, because I think they'll be fine. Close victory, still casualties low, though. That's how strong Gromby's army is. But 2 stacks, unlike 1 stack, is generally always worth fighting, so we'll fight it after I quick save it. There we go, and go.
Right, my northern kin, let's get about this. I promised Grimnir there'd be a mighty tally, and I ain't one for breaking such an oath. So come on, let's have
Alright, let's have them indeed. Let's see how well the Norse can stand against us, though it won't be this Fimir Mirk and her Mist Stalkers here, or Fimir Stalkers rather, not the Mist Stalkers, but anyway, that stand against us, as I wager they'll be wiped out long before the rest of the enemy army gets here. Now, our own army is moving into position. They're not even going to bother firing on these limited numbers of Fimir, as there are just a couple of stalkers, and they're reasonably fragile. At least their big thing, of course, is the fact that they are all stalkers, and fairly decently heavily armored, solid melee attack, bleed, armor-piercing damage, and magical damage. As a unit, they've got a lot going for them. Wait reinforcements, but, well, if we've found them and destroyed them at range, then they're not going to achieve much. The big thing is going to be the two enemy stacks that are coming in with all those mammoths and single entities, tons of trolls, lots of elites basically, and we'll see whether they are able to actually reach our lines. I wish them luck, because previous armies have really failed to do anything to Grimbrindl's army. Alright, we've got our, well, sort of half-moon formation. No need to go full dwarf box here, as it's probably just not going to be necessary. How close are we to getting into range? Okay, a little bit more. Let's speed it up, and there we go. First of the torpedoes will fly from our Grudge Settler gyrocopters, and oh, that poor... oh, that poor Skinwolf Weirkin. It had a very, very bad time. Similarly, another Fimir Mirg, or I don't know, some kind of Fimir unit, was destroyed there, and all the enemy elites, the mammoths, the chieftains, the heroes, all obliterated by the Trollhammer torpedoes. Hardly surprising, as that's exactly what they're for. And what they're not really for is knocking out droves of infantry. So, let's see if the enemy has enough infantry to get through this. Although, admittedly, again, that is a lot of torpedoes. They may only kill one unit per hit, but there's still so many of them that the enemy are struggling with them. And while we only have, we only have our 3 units of Grudge Settler flamethrowers, or Iron Drake flamethrowers. Skulderguard aren't Grudge Settlers, though they may as well be. That's still a pretty bad time for the enemy. Alrighty, it looks like the enemy's main line has collapsed, but they have sent plenty of units over to our flanks. In fact, lots of trolls backing up the Marauder horses and such, which is quite interesting. Wasn't expecting them to send their trolls this way, but, well, probably a good move on their part. Let's see if they can achieve anything with it, especially with us not really turning our army all that much. Alright, we do still have at least 1 unit of torpedoes which are able to fire upon these guys from both sides, and specifically target those trolls with our gyrocopters. And it looks like the trolls are going to book it on out of there. The bounce back has shifted to about 85% in our favor. Still a few more Marauder horses and such heading towards us. A nice volley at Torps. Nice second volley at Torps. And the Torps just keep on coming, and the Marauders just keep on dropping. Ooh, does look like a unit of Doggos has managed to close the distance on the left flank. Fortunately, the Runesmith was there to hold them off, and a few blasts from the blunderbusses or the Grudge Rakers on from our airship will see them off. The last of the Marauders that have attempted to charge us get burned by the Iron Drakes with flamethrowers, and with that, this poor Norscan army is destroyed. Alrighty. Man, this army is obnoxiously powerful. Well, there we are. Good job to Grimbrindle, who actually managed to get 6 kills this time around, as he rarely gets to play in melee all that much. Such is the way of buffing specifically Iron Drakes, I guess. Man, that was absolutely brutal. I originally never envisioned this army to be as overpowered as it turns out to be, or it turned out to be. I'd like to think that everybody in this army is just so keyed up, so fired up to be fighting alongside the legendary white dwarfs that they're all just fighting so much harder, and hence the ludicrous effectiveness of this particular army. Now, really, the only way that this army would be threatened is if the number of models that an enemy can send at us exceeds the number of Trollhammer torpedoes that we can send right back at the enemy, which is why I originally wanted to send Grimbrindle to help it to fight the Skaven, because really near us they're the only faction that can achieve that sort of thing. Vampire counts could potentially as well, but they don't have they don't have the speed to capitalize on the model numbers, and maybe greenskins if we run into like 2 full stacks with 2 full walls. But anyway, Skaven were the easiest one, especially since by sending a chaff or trash units of clan rats and Skaven slaves at us, there's a lot of models in those units, and the sheer number of models would overwhelm the torpedoes, which can only kill 1 unit at a time. But anyway, or 1 model at a time rather. For now, we'll see. Keep going. Oh, the Slaaneshi would have been a decent example of this as well, especially in that gigantic blob will attract replacements, and then we should be able to auto-resolve the remnants of the Goromadny here. And we'll quick save again. And we'll occupy it as soon as the game takes 8 years to quick save. There we go. Occupy, and hey, no crash this time. Once you crash once, it usually only, well, actually it does happen sometimes twice, but anyway, ally mission successful. I don't even remember that. Alrighty, well, we are on the approach to help it. I'm not sure that we're really needed here anymore, and that's fine, because we have a lot of work to do here as well, and more enemies are coming, I'm sure. Anyway, that was Grimbrindle. Who is next? Thorek. You are going to head down to Zamoski. Should be just a quick little auto-resolve there for you, bud. And, ooh, your guy is here now. Yeah, we'll auto-resolve this in a second. I guess, it bothers me because the Ironbreakers have been with Thorek for so long at this point, but those blasting charges are they're just, I don't know, they feel too technological. So I guess you should be swapped out. And that's why we brought him the Everguard with shields anyway. Now, let's see, a 91 melee defense versus 79, huh? These guys actually have a lot less. Interesting. I assume that's because of the veterancy, although these guys aren't low veterancy. But nonetheless, trade them in, and now you can auto-resolve this. Oh, I guess I should have used this army to do it for us. Well, whatever. Alright, we'll take this out real quick. A little bit of damage, unsurprisingly, and occupy the place, and we'll trade it right back to the Kislevites after building at least one thing there. Anything else that we can build in 1 turn? Give them the money building. Can this be built in 1 turn? No, I'm not. I probably won't wait 2 turns. Oh, right, and they won't get this anyway. It seems to only happen in minor settlements. Alright, build the trinket maker, whatever. Alright, any killed in battle, talisman of preservation, always nice to find. And if we need to head down here to save these guys from the whatever you are, River Dolgan. And I thought I saw Valkia previously as well, so they might be down here too. I guess the main issue is that, well, I guess we're not technically at war with Tamarkan, but the war host of the apocalypse, the Dolgan, are going to come back, and we still need to wipe out Kairos, because he will return. And there are 2 turns left, or 2 settlements left to him. One here, and then I assume another one. He's actually fairly far away. Alright, Alaric Ranulfson then. Go this way. You were wary of getting attacked by Tamarkan's 2 stacks, but I think if you can avoid him, you can still move towards Altar of the... Altar of whatever here. Altar of Madness. Who are you at war with, incident? Oh! He's at war with Kairos. Huh, that's interesting. That might actually help us out. If he keeps attacking him and even wipes him out, then that would allow Thorek to move down here and deal with Valkia for a little bit. Oh, that would be nice. Alrighty, anyway, Malachi. You, sir, were... Oh, we could move you to reinforce Mr... Actually, I don't like that. I was about to say, reinforce Grimly. Here's the problem. If these guys steal your Slayers because of the fact that they're unbreakable, that'll be a guaranteed loss. Whereas with Grimly, who doesn't have any unbreakable units, any unit that gets stolen will rout with the rest of the enemy army. So I guess it would be safer to move Malachi to 4th Circle instead, and then take it and then move through the other Helped territories, which, fair enough. He's got to redeem himself after the loss of Carrick Doom, and we'll need to take it. We'll need to take it back with him. Dwinbar Ranulfson, you did get attacked by those Nurglights, which you managed to see off with great gunstow. But anyway, let's see if there's anybody else nearby. I don't see anybody, and well, if it isn't the gobos pretending to be dwarves. Anyway, we will quick save this. I'll resolve it. More damage than I'd like, but less damage than might have been, so yeah, no. Other Trickster's Shard will immediately upgrade. Actually, we won't. We could possibly... No, we take this at tier 3, so no need to wait. Alrighty, and we don't need this. What we do need, however, is defenses immediately, because anything in the Badlands, at least anything that we're keeping in the... Oh, freaking, I didn't realize I had a territory here. Which is, I guess, part of this province. Alright, fine, we're gonna have to loop back around, take this out, probably knock out the Red Shield as well. They have 2 territories, and it's kind of annoying that there are orcs still running around here. I don't really care, but at the same time, these territories are undefended up here, and if they realize that they are, they could come up here and annoy us. Oh! And a little orky faction, Stitched Skulls Hold, and oh, another little orky faction, the Greybeards Prospectors. Anyway, let's see, who else do we have here? Callan Heldower. You guys, yes, alrighty. So, what we want to do with you is, Ungrim, I would like you to jump right here beside Hazelhoff. I would like Hegenbor Ironpick to take Sithas. Could I have used you to do it? I could have, but I guess it doesn't really matter because you weren't in range, really, anyway. Alrighty, I'll resolve, and I didn't quick save it. I'm an idiot. Occupy... Okay, no, it didn't. Always a concern. And you can empower the guilds, you can also start building stuff. Alrighty, you were supposed to follow these guys along. I guess you can move up to Kappelberg, and... What are you, by the way? Sharp, oh, I don't really care if you die. Alright, lose your item. I'd like you to reach Kappelberg, but I'm pretty sure it's full of Skaven. Like 99% sure it's full of Skaven. Actually, speaking of Skaven, you are currently at war with Reichland and Vissenland and Nuln, and you're allied with the Fecundites. We will have, I don't know, we'll ask you to join the war against Clan Scrutin. We'll carefully scrutinize the ruins nearby. Or de-scrutinize, depending on how you look at it. Alright, go kill this. Thom Crittle. And, oh, huh, I thought that the settlement would be full of rats, but I guess it's just a random little march-stancing army by itself there. Weird. Well, either way, tell it to die. And we got a little bit of damage on some of Ungrim's Slayers, but I think we're kind of used to that one, admittedly. Anyway, you can attract replacements. And then you can immediately occupy Hazelhoff. Lovely. I'm getting ready for the trade. And an Armor of Destiny, Callan Heldower, you can hold on to the Talisman of Preservation. It's not like we don't have any to spare right now. Anyway, you can then head back down to Krugenheim, whereas Ungrim heads up to Kappelberg. And then Hegenbor... Huh, I guess actually Hegenbor could go here and then we could send Ungrim this way. Somebody also needs to grab Horno, but Bugman, you're supposed to go up to Talabaim because I would like to occupy it next turn. And by occupied, I mean trade it. It makes sense. You'll see. I want Talabaim to go to Reichland because we're starting to give the Reichlanders the territory that was formerly Talabekland, because Sturland, Averland, and is going to Vissenland, and then, I mean, I guess Ostermark and Ostland will also go to Reichland, and then of course Sylvania will go to Vissenland. All of which also makes sense. Trust me. Anyway, let's see who else needs to move. And King Azrael. Ah, yes, you have nearly reached your long-awaited goal. You're going to move past Fort Chukova while Mr. Rearguard Halfhand occupies it for you. And I'm going to hope that you can reach Karagungor from where you are. Auto resolve. Ah, it's going to damage those units. I just know it's going to horrifically damage the poor Frost Dragons. Frost Worms. Eh, actually not so horrifically. I mean, it did damage them and basically didn't damage anything else, but not as bad as it really could have been, so I'm mollified, I'm happy. Anyway, Engineers, Knapsack, and Azrael, you are, aha, just in range. Beautiful, that worked out. You are going to now declare war on the Red Eye. It's about time. We'll ask the escort to join. Like so. And, right, man, we don't need to take your money. Oh, every time. And, oh, would you look at that? We're at 998,916 in gold per turn. So it looks like we're reaching 1,000,000 gold per turn this this particular episode. Ah, Fort Jagova, you can go to the go to those guys. You take Karaz Ankor. Pyrrhic victory, but it still won't kill anybody off, and while we'll be damaged, not so damaged, I think that we need to be concerned about it. And we will occupy the place. Hopefully before these guys can send any armies down. These territories are, after all, technically undefended. But anyway, this is obviously not worthy of our attention or time. We've got a silver pinnacle to reach, so quick save and then auto-resolve it. Yeah, okay, unsurprising, occupy. I bet he can heal up pretty quickly, I'd wager. Yeah, by the time we get to the other territories, I fear the rearguard half-hand's not going to be able to catch up anymore, but that's fine as well. Delete this, and Feast Call is not helpful to us here. And hey, that put us over the 1,000,000. Beautiful. Turn 106, 1,000,000 gold per turn. And pretty crazy. Anyway, let's go for Trading Depot to start, and then we'll build the other stuff as needed. Lovely. And only 2 or 3 turns away from the Silver Pinnacle, and the undead will try everything in their power to stop you. Alright, who's up next? Morgus Death Dealer. You're still waiting, aren't you? Well, I guess you could... I was about to say you could take Slave Slaughter, but I'm perfectly happy to allow... What the heck is this? Why did you... Okay. Weird army composition, but... Oh, right, I forgot about this. I completely forgot about this. Drajueth the Ashen and Svetril Drakebeard. Okay, we're gonna get back to you, but I can't pass up a good fight, so we're gonna get to fighting, especially since this army didn't get the chance to debut, and this is going to be a toughie. We are going to start moving through We Are the Elite, I guess. Organize into We Are the Elite. And all we gotta do is fight. Alright, go knock out Drajueth. And valiant defeat, casualties high, that's definitely what I like to see. They don't have a Mega Mortar, but they do have the Wrath of Jar, though we at the same time have the Zufbar 42-pounders. It's effectively the same ability. Oh, actually, I want to compare. 35 damage versus 30 damage. 1955, 1955 range, infinity, 4 seconds, cooldown 120 seconds. Okay, so basically theirs is just outright slightly better, but we have 3 uses of ours because we have... more engineers, but I do find it interesting that theirs is just slightly better. It would be nice if there was just some slight differences, like we'd have less damage, but maybe greater movement speed on the attack, or a slower cast, or a faster casting time, or something like that. But no, it looks exactly identical, except theirs is just better. Interesting. Anyway, quick save, and let's get to it. Let's see if a Jamak Doom Tamer survives this. Go. Alrighty, victory will be ours indeed, or at least I certainly hope so. We've got 2 stacks of Chaos Dwarfs arrayed against us, and this Jamak Doom Tamer is sort of untested, newly built army, and not a very tried and true composition as yet. We'll see how the running gunners do on... Huh, actually, I don't know how much running and gunning we'll be able to do on this particular map. We've got a kind of concerning amount of forests, elevation changes, and impassable terrain. Okay, well, we'll deal with it. Anyway, we have Vanguard deployed those units that could Vanguard deploy, i.e. the Slayer Pirates and the Bugman's Rangers, all of the infantry directly behind the enemy Hell Cannon, with the hopes of bringing it down before it can get off a shot. And by the looks of it, fairly successfully, as its crew are pretty much destroyed, and a couple more volleys will probably bring the big old cannon down. Beautiful. And the cannon may be down, but that doesn't mean we can't join the fight with our Slayers. Sure, they could do a little run and gun them, but these are gobs, and we should be able to tear through them in melee as well, while we work on the other enemy range units, and more importantly, tie up the enemy blunderbusses. There are 2 blunderbusses, which would probably win in a shootout against Slayer Pirates in range, but will very much lose in a melee fight against them. If it were a unit of fire glaives, on the other hand, it would probably be a bad idea to charge them with the Slayer Pirates. Also, here come the light war sleds. I still find it a little bit odd that the light war sleds can't Vanguard deploy. I feel like they should be able to. Heavy war sleds, no. The light war sleds, I mean, it's two bears pulling a sled, and if you're telling me that a bear pulling a sled that makes its own magical ice and thus has little friction on it, and a bear can't get where it wants to get and Vanguard deploy, I'm going to have to argue there, because bears are pretty darn quick. Anyway, what are we looking at here? Balance of power is about 50-50, and the enemy's reinforcements have finally arrived and made their way onto the battlefield. Fortunately, they're making their way forward at a fairly distant position, or from a fairly distant position, so we do have time to continue obliterating this first little army. The Great Taurus has been sniped by the Bugsman's Rangers, and now the war sleds are doing that running and gunning thing, but mostly right now just chasing down any units that are routing and making sure that they shatter for good. Drajuath will activate a Curse of Kashut on one of our light war sleds, and does about 100 damage per tick, which is not anything crazy. A good choice of unit, though, because all of our other units, being dwarven units, will have a decent amount of spell resistance at a base of 40, so, yeah. Good job by Drajuath. Speaking of Drajuath, he's going to move on ahead, way ahead of the rest of his army, and that might not be such a great idea, buddy. Neither he nor Cinderbreath are going to be able to do too much if all of our range units are going to start focusing him down, which they very much are. He drops down to about 50% of his HP and keeps getting staggered by the various hits. I guess he was trying to cast a spell, and the fact that everybody was shooting him while he was attempting it meant that he was constantly being staggered and unable to get that spell off for far, far too long. He was also sitting there while attempting it, and thus took way too much damage on both himself and Cinderbreath there. Anyway, with that, Drajuath is out, and the first of the enemy armies has been destroyed, and now we move to start combating the second one. He is not Astrogoth, but he has still brought some Bull Centaur renders with him, which we're going to start working on with our gyrocopters, both the brimstone guns and the standard ones alike. Obviously, the anti-infantry regular gyrocopters aren't going to be particularly effective against these guys, but that's alright. Between the brimstone guns, the engineers, and now the light war sleds firing away at them, and with the Bull Centaur renders slowed down by a combination of suppression and flash bomb and down to 6 speed, they're not going anywhere, and they're not achieving anything. Though admittedly it is taking a while to bring them down, but I mean they're Bull Centaur renders, they're pretty darn tanky for what they are. Alrighty, but it looks like, tanky or not, this unit is pretty much done for. Well done to the war sleds, who chased enemies down and are now able to apply some of that little bit of run and gun and fire at the enemy and kill off the enemy elites while backing off. And then once the enemy elites are gone, the war sleds will be able to charge on through and start tying up their fragile missile infantry, in particular the blunderbusses and the hobgob archers, though not the fire glaives, because they're anti-large and they're kind of scary in melee. Ooh, nice little volley from the blunderbusses into one of the engineers by the looks of it, just before they get tied up by the bears. And man, chariot with a bunch of gunners pulled by bears. What a frightening concept. And I'm sure those blunderbusses have learned as they shed 70% of their HP to the war sled's charge and then begin to rout. The hobgob archers, the laborers, and some of the chaos dwarfs that have been moving through the forest are now tied up once again with the Slayer Pirates, who admittedly have started to run out of ammunition anyway. I think one of them is completely out, one of them is nearly out, and then 2 have okay amounts. And the 2 with the okay amounts are probably the ones that we charged into melee when we Vanguard deployed our army. Alright, it looks like the enemy fire glaives have been destroyed. Obviously we didn't engage them in melee, just had all of our gyrocopters working on them from the sky, and a little bit of help from the war sleds, again, not in melee, and that proved to be sufficient. The Slayer Pirates have overrun the enemy hobgobs and the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, or blunderbusses, or whatever was up here. I see at least one unit of blunderbusses. And with that, the battle's ours. Very nice. I do like how the Slayers, the Slayer Pirates in particular, are a pretty fantastic counter to Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses, which are fragile and which are very fragile in melee, even if they have that massive amount of range on them. Fragile enough not to really threaten the Slayer Pirates. Is that just another excuse to tell you guys how much I've been loving the Slayer Pirates in lieu of a Free Company Militia? Maybe it is. Definitely my favorite addition to the Dwarfen roster. They're so frickin' versatile. Anyway. All right, I gotta say, that went better than I thought it would. Well done to this new army. It was originally envisioned as a run-and-gun army, admittedly, which wasn't really needed in this particular fight, but wasn't really possible in this particular fight either, due to it not being a very wide open sort of territory, and the fact that most of the enemy army was ranged anyway, so we were better off sending our war sleds into melee. And the war sleds are doing pretty good. 22,000 damage and 303 kills, certainly on par with the Slayer Pirates. We've also got decent damage out of all the Bugman's Rangers, less kills, but that's because they were focusing on more high-value targets than a lot of the other ones were, like Draj, like the Great Taurus, and then following up on the Fireglaves and the Blunderbusses. Still, it's a pretty darn nice army composition, I gotta say. We get the least amount of work out of our Brimstone guns, but I think that shouldn't be surprising. We're facing off against Chaos Dwarfs, and most of the high-tier enemies will have insanely high fire resistances, so yeah, the gyrocopters or the brimstone guns aren't going to have as much going for them, admittedly. Oh, also got to get Runesmith in here before I forget. I was originally thinking of Thane to get snipe for the Bugman's Rangers, but I'm not so sure that it's necessary here. Anyway, well done to everybody. I like it. I like it a lot, especially when it's a new army and it hadn't been tested yet. I guess we'll attract replacements because we'll want to chase down what remains of Drajuath's army, and what remains is very little, admittedly. Well, hopefully Greasy is going to be happy about this and happy to hold the Darklands, which we don't want. Alright, you are going to suffer attrition to do this, but that's why we healed up, I guess. Oh! Whoa, 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 whoa. The Drajuath defeat trait is the capital building bonus. More money? Well, I guess we won't say no to it. Not that we really need it, but it is kind of amusing. Man, imagine having all the territory and the money making that we've got in this particular campaign for this particular faction, and then on top of that, start farming the plus 5% faction-wide province capital settlement trait from Drajuath. Would be pretty entertaining. Anyway, I guess we're going to go down to, I don't know, one of these places. Doesn't really matter. Now, he is a fairly strong faction, goes all of this territory belongs to him, so I do imagine that we'll be running into a fair few more of those armies, so we'll just have to pay attention. Anyway, enemy killed in battle, sword of bloodshed, talisman of endurance, or that was not endurance, that was preservation, Tilan Pavis, and that's it. Alrighty, Morga's Doom Tamer. I'm going to assume that these guys will be able to take slave slaughter, or at least I would like to, but what we can do is just reinforce, so I don't have to trade it because I'm lazy. Yeah, just take it, I don't care. I'll just sit there, especially since Morgus isn't really an army. He was essentially, or originally meant to be a Morn Guard and just sit in the mountains of Morn and guard the place, but now that he's moving out, he might as well help the Ogres. Call him an Ogre Guard, a Caravan Guard, whatever. Harry Amstrel, die. You're just the remnants of Aranessa's army after she had attacked us. Failed too, but it was a great battle for Kazran Grimbrow, who's certainly making a nice number of wins for himself. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyway. He's doing well is what I'm getting at. Considering he doesn't have a real army. We'll get you one when we start moving towards Skaven Blight, buddy. You are going to now have to, I guess, move down to Pavona. I assume the Pavona faction is destroyed because Pavona is one of the... oh, no, we have them right here. Their capital at Ducezo here, but I assume they'll actually want Pavona, so if we take it and we transfer it back to them, their capital should move. Assuming that these guys don't take it next turn, which is a distinct possible... Well, actually, they're not at war. I guess we'll see. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, Pavona's one of the principalities, and along with Miragliano and all of these other guys in Telea, so, yeah. Anyway, we'll just ignore all that for now. Let's keep doing our thing. Mornguard, no. You don't need to... Well, I know that... Again, I made the Mornguards not to necessarily have to move, but they've kind of been forced to sally out and do things. Don't you hate it when... jerks force you to do things. Anyway, let's see. We've got settlement, garrison, basically nothing. I think you just quick save and auto-resolve this. Obviously, we're not fighting this, especially with the Mornguard, which isn't a real army. Oh, wow, you got badly damaged. Not that we care. Occupy. Lovely, and you Mornguards don't technically need items, because eventually you're just going to be sitting there once we're done with the enemies that are surrounding the Mountains of Morn. You, Ulfar Dammon, was eventually going to be given a proper army, so I think we'll keep you moving. Start moving you towards Uruk Vok. And we're going to have to trade Gran Vorgak from the Goldtooth faction. Which is fine, I guess. And I still haven't decided whether we should let these guys live because they're not the friendliest with these other factions. They don't dislike us. And again, I don't really want the entirety of the crater around Jarnagrund with the exception of Jarnagrund itself, so we'll see. It's not like we don't have plenty of territory to be getting on with, and it's not like we need more money, unless... oh, right, Belagar. I guess you're gonna have to go to Bog Creeper Camp, eh? Alright, and chase this down. And go to Bog Creeper Camp. This should wipe out Teclis's faction for good. Oh, let me guess, you're gonna now have moved far enough away that if we attack you, we won't be able to reach Bog Creeper Camp. I guess we're about to find out. Heal up to full. Why did one ranger lose half of its HP? No, it might have been a noble sacrifice if it had worked, but it did not, so. Armor of Destiny and Bog Creeper Camp, same thing to you, and I didn't quick save, occupy, and... Order of Lore Masters destroyed. That's one. Alrighty, working on that Elgi grudge. High King's Tribute for you. We can immediately level up Stinking Geysers to tier 5, and we're looking good. And also delete this. Lovely. Also, Gelt. I don't think you can or will or... Yeah, I don't think it's possible for you to hold any territory that we might care about, so you can have the Howless Camp. That'll complete your territory. Wait, let me just double check. It is the Howless Camp, right? Yeah, that will complete your territory, and hopefully that will make you happy with us. I mean, actually, he's pretty happy with us anyway. We have a plus 604 tolerance with Karaz-a-Karak, so yeah. I think he'll deal with the loss of Teclis. Minus 110 for military actions against... Really, minus 110? They had 4 territories, guy. Why? Okay, I guess 5 territories, but what the heck? Why do you care so much?
Yes.
Enjoy, there we go. Gifts given is now up to 173, so he should still be happy, and hopefully the Elgi will be forgotten to time. I noticed that the Howless Camp got to keep its guardhouse even though it was being built up, so yeah, I guess it's just guardhouses or walls aren't kept in main settlements, but they are kept in minor settlements. Go figure. Alrighty, Skeggy Threxen, you, yes, I remember you. Go to Khazad Elgazan for now. You're kind of the beginnings of a new fire army in case we have to fight the Wood Elves, and decent likelihood that if this campaign keeps going, we'll have to burn down Athaloran as well. And if we have to do so, well, it's best to bring fire for that particular purpose. Morgus Drenger, the Armored Slayer Army. Now, you have... Let me just see here. Go to Grungakri. What you're missing is artillery, and I did want artillery for you. Man, it's gonna take 3 turns to build flame cannons. I guess we could do... What kind of artillery do we want for you? I'm really excited to get this army doing some stuff, so I also don't want to wait too long, but at the same time... I mean, you're a huge anti-infantry pile, aren't you, Doomseekers? Well, the heavy war sleds are guns, so I guess we could do maybe organ guns and I mean they take 2 turns anyway. I don't want to do organs. I don't want to do goblin hewers because it's a different type of army. It doesn't even have a Slayer Lord at the helm, so... Huh. I was about to say we could maybe make an artillery piece from one of our allies, but that doesn't really work here because we already have 3 out of 4. I'd rather save the turn. You know what? Let's do cannons. Knock out enemy big boys. I think we have enough of a melee line to not be super well, the problem here is going to be if enemies have a lot of range units. And that's why the flame cannons... Yeah, screw it. Just take the turn. Do 2 flame cannons and an organ gun. But then we won't have enough... what's the range on the flame cannons? 250, and this army does not have an engineer. Oh. You don't have an engineer. I didn't realize that. Huh. Alright, screw it. Just do two organ guns for now. And I might give you an engineer. Well, you know what? Build 3 and I might delete 1 and give you an engineer if I decide to give you an engineer. It's not super needed because it's mostly a melee army. And then if I don't like the performance of the army, we'll simply modify it. How about that? Alrighty. I don't think it's gonna matter. I'm just not super happy with organ guns in general. Well, mostly because Imperial artillery just makes them look like terrible. Anyway, you can go to Campagrotta, and you can grab that for us since Mr. Kazaran Grimbrow was busy. Snorri Grimson, you are supposed to head to somewhere like Karaz-a-Karak, where you can start recruiting a new army. Not a real army, just an auto-resolve army to help with guarding these territories, because technically speaking, this is all Chaos forces, and they will be doing this. And unless we go out there and wipe them out, well... And, oh, wow, you... Huh, wait, why can't you... Cannot recruit unit, why? We are in range of the Spirit of Grugny. Oh, I guess it's because it's in March stance? Well, then what the heck is the use of that, then? That's unfortunate, or not a March stance, in Tunneling stance. Huh. Well, you know what, I guess you can use the Spirit of Grugny to recruit. Don't bother with the giant piles of miners, then, so you could just go out here to the 4th circle or whatever next turn. Alright, fair enough. That'll work. I think, assuming no other enemies are coming along. Anyway, let's see what else we have in terms of this particular turn. Guardian Ground. Okay, yeah, you're building a bunch of stuff. You're building flame cannons, but that'll be a while. Durgrim Burdrick, you can just stay here. Bernoth Barakuri. Oh, you're the mechanized army. Alright, you can keep moving this way. In fact, Astori Azrael... I guess you could go to Laguier, and then we can send Bernoth briefly to Embrun to defend it. He still lacks engineers, and no, wait, go for this. He still lacks engineers, and the problem with, well, lacking engineers in an all-mechanized army is that you really need some engineers. Anyway, we'll auto-resolve this. And it'll allow us to heal up. Yeah, damage is basically non-existent. I mean, that's just a bunch of clan rats and stuff. And you can occupy Laguier, and then we have begun the reconquest of Bretonnia. All right. It just sickens me that so many peasants are going unoppressed while Bretonnia is occupied by other factions. It's sickening. Anyway, go to Embrun, please. And get ready to go to Castle Carcassonne. We have to be very careful with the mechanized army against the Skaven because, well, a single ambush will kill the army because they can't deal with that sort of thing. Frankly, it would be better to send them against the greenskins up here, but they take a while to get up there. We'll see what we can do in terms of repositioning. Because obviously an all-artillery army against an ambush is just instant death because only the Goblin Hewer crews can fight in melee and the rest of the crews are too slow. Mourngard Stonebeard, you're not needed to move here, are you? Nah, you're one of the ones that actually can stay. Ulfar Norgrimling, Explosions, you are headed to the Tower of Gorgoth. And didn't another little faction somewhere here declare war on us? I think they did, but I don't remember who it was. And oh, right, I didn't give you a thing to give you siege attacker. Ugh. I feel like Anvils of Doom should have Siege Attacker. Give them something. Okay, well, whatever. You could just besiege it, not a big deal. It would just be nice if you didn't have to take 2 turns to take something that would be super easy. I'd be perfectly happy to go up those walls with this army. It's not like the enemy would be able to deal with the Ironbreakers. Fireslay, you're fine. Thrani Skolson. Right, you're supposed to move towards Kappelberg. You know what, just go here. If there's actually Skaven there and they kill you, then you can die, I don't care. I mostly just want you to occupy Kappelberg to save some movement from one of these guys. If you can actually reach it, that also remains to be seen, but, well, we may as well try, especially since it's one of the billion lords we don't care about. Almador Redax. You cannot reach anything, unfortunately, so you can just, go a little bit further and encamp, make sure that you heal to full, until your army is ready. You're going to probably suffer a little bit against the enemies here, but your army will eventually be ready, and then we're giving this guy proper force, because he's an old lord, he's level 31. He's got a pretty solid force. I'm thinking, finally, the ability to combine the Grudge Settler Hammerers with that Frostfire ability, with more Flamethrower units, since we're not relying on Flamethrower units in Azrael's army. Bronhammerfist, this is just a random pile of auto-resolve troops. You can just go kill off Cyprus and the Skaven rebels there. Really? The bounce power is that much in their favor? Huh. I feel like specifically for the auto-resolve purposes, we might be better off building some Longbeards or something in here. I think I had actually built originally these Bugman's Rangers to split off into multiple different armies. But then I decided to move these guys out to, knock out a few free Skaven forces. And... alright, so we're safe here now. I guess we could proceed to Vifin, it's just that we need to underway stance over there. And I don't think we can trust... we wouldn't even be able to reach it in merge stance anyway. Alright, fine, just stay here near Montfort and get ready. Alright, you can keep the Trickster's Helm because it is inferior to Armors of Destiny, and I don't remember if it's inferior to our own armors, but I'll take another look at the crafting between the episodes. Ulfar Norgrimling, you're fine. I don't remember who Hergar Ironwill is. Oh, he's just supposed to ferry these troops southward. But we have to travel through a lot of potentially enemy territory to do it. I guess if we could travel through Imperial territories, it might be safer. Alright, fine, let's do this. Oh, next turn you can go into encamp stance and then travel southward. Alright, fair enough. Burnoth Knucklebreaker. Okay, the Grudge Settler army. Again, I don't really care about you anymore. Or at the very least, I don't care enough to preserve you, so we'll just hit here unless I remember to do it between the episodes. Alrighty, Thick Proudbeard. Who are you again? Ah, you. Yes, you are supposed to attack this guy. Oh, would the defenders of Ghaznakkar be able to... No, this guy's just out of range of them by the looks of it. Well, aren't you clever? Alright, fair enough. And this is a full wad. This should actually be potentially a good fight. Let's try auto-resolving. Huh. I mean, I guess he could go past us, or he could attack. You know what? Sin Ghaznakkar, we'll see if they actually attack us. I don't think we fought a minor settlement battle in absolute ages, so I certainly wouldn't mind. Let's get you. You have the base versions of Oath and Steel, and you have the base version of Speed, so let's get your Wrath and Ruin in case the enemy gets blobbed up. Can you guys become blasting charges? We're gonna need them. Anybody else need to be evolved here? Yeah, you're better off as a Grudge Thrower. Especially with... Oh, you have a Grudge Settler Grudge Thrower. Oh, I don't want to actually lose that. That would be bad. The rest of you, I think, are fine as you are. You would be better as a Flame Cannon, but we can't... Alright, well... Deal with what you got until our actual army, this guy, comes around. Alrighty, that was Thick Proudbeard. Should be either the last or one of the last lords. No for Damon. Oh, hey, who's Grunny Strongarm? Oh, right, you're supposed to join Herrick Grundadrak. We've transferred Morton's home now to the Central Confederacy. And you're supposed to join this guy. Alright, so you could just sit here until you're ready to move into that army. Tech Thief. I think you're done with tech The irony is real. I was about to say you're done with tech thievery, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll just die then. What a spiteful little jerk. That was amazing. Alrighty. I'm tremendously amused. You go down here, Drong Redmane. Morgrim Azrael, you're a Tromac Thane who's supposed to join Almador once he's here. Scout, you're staying where you are. And then the two Slayers are waiting for... Yeah, where they're waiting for more of the appropriate trait for Slayers. Alright, and it looks like we're good. So we can skip, we can outpost... blah, blah, blah. Skip, and I don't remember where, but somewhere we're besieging something where we'll get attacked by a bunch of stuff and it'll be a good fight. I guess we're about to find out where. Go. Oh, right, this is what I was talking about. Joseph of Zorn, valiant defeat, casualties high. We've got so many Dark Elves, led by Mouse Darkblade himself, who's a solid rank 28. We got a Black Dragon, we've got a Black Guard of Nagron, more than a full stack of Black Arc Corsairs with handbows, which are absolutely not to be underestimated. 59 melee attack, solid missile strength as well, and plenty of armor. They are really good and can be put up to pretty obnoxious heights when you're playing the Dark Elves. Makes me want to play Dark Elves, but anyway, this will be a great fight. Let's go Jartrom. Alrighty. And when he says slay the Oathbreakers, I'm pretty sure he means burn the Oathbreakers, which I'm sure we will be doing in droves with our Jartrom army here. And good luck to the enemy, because very few enemy armies have been able to deal with this particular army of ours. Anyway, we're deployed kind of in the center of the map. Usually when on this map, generally speaking, I deploy either here, up on top of this big hill with this location protecting us, and or deploy here, but you guys may remember, I guess it was 2 episodes ago now, where we instead deployed here, just because we could, and just because, you know, I like to deploy in different locations just to keep maps fresh, and so here I decided to deploy more in the center of the map, and we'll see how that goes for us, whether it goes well or whether it goes poorly, but, well, let's just say I'm pretty confident in Joseph of Zorn and the Jartrom clan's capabilities. Anyway, we're going to start the Battle of the Brimstone Guns, annoying the enemy with an engineer or 2 engineers supporting them, and knock out that Manticore so it cannot reach our main line, before switching to this unit of enemy Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. 53 missile strength, pretty darn solid. Next time I play the Dark Elves, I can't wait to see what heights I can take the Dark Riders to, because they've always been kind of as a unit. Decent, but nothing crazy. But especially with SFO, you can take them to pretty great heights, I'd wager. Instead of just, you know, spamming Doomfire Warlocks instead for light cav. Anyway, next up we've got the Medusa, and obviously the sort of railgun shots that these guys fire are pretty darn devastating, and we want the Medusa out of the picture before the enemy starts moving towards us. Though it does look like with all this fire from the brimstone guns and such, the enemy is looking pretty annoyed. Alright guys, stop missing your fire. Maybe the hitbox of the Medusa is actually higher than it looks. Or possibly even bigger than it looks. Well, I should giggle. Anyway, the Medusa will go down, and it looks like with that, Malice Darkblade's army is annoyed enough to move towards us. Could also be a coincidence, as his reinforcements have arrived, and it might be that why they are now moving. Now, the enemy does have an artillery piece, actually 2 of them, Reaper Bolt Throwers, which have been firing away at our gyrocopters this entire time. You can see some of the engineers are damaged, and some of the gyrocopters as well. So, rather than having it obliterate the infantry, which is what we usually do with this grudge thrower with the Rune of Burning, we're going to have it obliterate the artillery pieces instead. Gonna take it a little bit of time, I'd wager, since it's not a grudge settler unit, but I'm sure it'll be fine. In the meantime, the enemy has started to approach the range of our flame cannons, which is not something you generally want to do. It'll be the Furies, which are screening the enemy advance here, which are going to take a fair few shots while attempting to dodge the flames. Unfortunately, I think for the Furies, this strategy isn't particularly effective here. They might be able to block a set of cannons or organ guns from doing anything like this, but flame cannon shots, grudge settler flame cannon shots in particular, that miss the Furies are just going to land on the army behind them anyway. And it's a bad time for all Dark Elves anyway. Alright, and finally it looks like most of the enemy army is in range. They're on the approach now. Malice is going to attempt to lead the charge, though concerningly for him, he only has 6,500 HP, which admittedly is probably not going to be enough. Let's see how many hits he can take. And there we go, the flame cannons have sighted him. He's going to turn and try to dodge them, drop down to like 10% of his HP, and just manage to transform to Tsarkan. It would have been funny if we managed to tear him apart before he managed it, and it was very close, but all good. He transforms, and then he starts heading directly to us again, but will again get hit by that suppression from Joseph of Zorn. Then the combination of flammable with the suppression drops him down to 25 speed, and that is nowhere near enough, as he is now slower than infantry and will melt away. Beautiful. Does look like, I believe the enemy's murderous prowess has activated, and they're still heading towards our main line. But for now, it looks like they are still doing this in vain, and the fire units are working overtime. Funnily enough, if this army had piles of dark shards rather than the Blackheart Corsairs, they'd probably be considerably more threatening, in the sense that the dark shards would already be firing upon us, as they have more than twice the range of the Blackheart Corsairs. Whereas these guys have to brave the flames in order to try to get off a single shot. Which ain't working for them. It is, however, working for all of our flamethrower units, but every battle is working for our flamethrower units. And the balance of power is still actually very slightly in the enemy's favor. I mean, they still have reinforcements making their way onto the battle map. There's still a Hydra to contend with, a Black Dragon and stuff. But if the enemy runs out of the critical mass of units, it'll just have no hope of reaching us here any more than the other army had any hope of reaching Mr. Grumbrindle's army. It does look like a decent amount of units have arrived on the various flanking. Oh, there's Murderous Prowess. I guess that was some other effect. Alright, fair enough. These guys are moving out on our right flank, getting some nice volleys from our Drake guns in combination with those blasting charges, which are also fire damage, and combining very nicely with all that fire weakness as well. I'd wager those Sea Dragon cloaks may be effective against providing a little bit of protection against missile fire. Against blasting charges or flamethrowers, not so much. And the same thing is happening on the left flank as it is on the right, where our blasting charges, miners, and our Drake guns continue to work on those enemies that dare to approach. Actually, you should be firing. Come on. Weird. Okay, there we go. Huh, were they reloading? That took a long time, but admittedly, as soon as they fired, the unit got absolutely torn apart. Alright, there we go. And a Blackguard of Nagaron actually decided to not approach us from the directly at the center, and instead approach us on the flanks. How's that working out for you there, Blackguard of Nagaron? Down to 20% of their HP. Very, very close to reaching us, but not close enough, as one more volley from both units tears them to shreds. Bounce power now very much in our favor at about 70%. More and more units are dropping, and soon will be dropping out of the skies as well. Black Dragon moving towards us with about 80% of its HP, and we're going to switch to targeting it with our Brimstone guns. And maybe even one of our flame cannons. Ooh, Cold One. I believe those were Cold One Dread Knights. Those, you know, burning husks were once Cold One Dread Knights. And down they go. Oh, I love the frickin' fire armies. And there we go. As soon as the Dark Elves saw their nobility, the Highborn that make up the Cold One Dread Knights, fall burnt to the ground long before reaching our battle line. And it looks like they have given up. And the battle is ours. The dragon has been knocked out of the sky. And the Dark Elves, what remain of them anyway, will flee the battlefield. Very, very nice work as always to Jartrom. Alrighty, there we go. I guess that didn't work out so well for Malice, or for Sarkhan. He may drink worlds, but, well, apparently he doesn't drink fire, or at least doesn't take so well to it. The Jartrom army remains completely okay, and I guess while the Blackheart Corsairs are a great unit, their problem is that they are mid-range, and mid-range is just not good enough against fire armies as, well, if you're within range of the flamethrowers, you're not going to outshoot them. Anyway, the damage is pretty severe from the old Sootbeard, 75,000, though Needle Light is fairly close behind, with 53k, and then Flames of Herrick and Grunderdrax Bellow are both pretty darn okay at 67 and 76,000 damage. Let's see, Route Clearance Team and the Stone Masons both did pretty okay, 17k and 10,000 damage. The Miners with Blasting Charges at least got to play a fair bit, and then, oh, this is the army where we didn't name the Thunderers with Drake guns. But they did well. Anyway, I guess we'll heal up because we'll want to auto-resolve what remains of this army or these armies next turn. And really, you didn't learn the first time? Okay, I think the second time we're free to auto-resolve this. Yeah, it'll do a lot of damage to us, somewhat unnecessarily, but realistically speaking, they have no chance. So auto-resolve, and we will heal up. And, oh, he is going to attack. Well, that's lovely to see. I'm actually curious to see whether Thick Proudbeard can actually hold this. The main issue is actually not going to be the melee units, because this is a minor settlement, but rather the piles of range, as the Thunderers with Drake guns might have a little bit trouble to dealing with all those Savage Orc Error boys, and we don't have the magical damage on the Grudge Throwers to easily or quickly be able to knock them out. I do think it'll be an interesting fight, so we'll quick save, and then we'll get right into it. Alright, Thick Proud Beard. Let's see how thick and proud that beard is. Go. I gotta say, I have absolutely no idea what he yelled out there, but that's alright. Anyway, here we go. Like John McDoomtamer's battle, I think this is one we're definitely going to have to, work for. Ooh, big old pit in the center. Wonder what that one's for. Just chucking jerks down there. Might be something the Chaos Dwarfs do, but they're sort of a waste not, want not sort of faction, so maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, this I think is going to be interesting. We've got a lot of enemies coming in as a reinforcement. It's a full stack, and they're coming in on this side. And so we've deployed, I'd say, the most amount of units here. We have blocked off this place with a platform, a barricade, though how long that will survive the onslaught of so many savage orcs remains to be seen. And I've also parked all of our artillery pieces on bridges. There's one here, and there's one here, together with some corlers to fire down on the enemy below, another one on this bridge, and another one on this bridge. So basically 4 bridges, all occupied by an artillery piece, and hopefully able to reposition themselves reasonably quickly within the settlement. Assuming that we can hold off the tide of enemies here and here, we'll want everybody to then rush back as fast as possible to provide support for where the main assault is coming in from the second set of units. Now, the major assault is over on this side, at least for now, and thus we deployed both of our Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torps. The enemy has brought, I don't know, like 6 Orc Boar Boy Biggins and some Trolls, as well as the Wyvern Riding Savage Orc Great Shaman. So we certainly have to be concerned about that. The Boar Boys will charge in. We're going to get a few volleys off of those Drake guns, but it won't be enough to stop the enemy in their tracks, so we'll send our Dwarf Warriors, not Longbeards, just regular Dwarf Warriors forward, and block them off for as long as we can. Enemy's going to hit us with a Brain Bursta, but it looks like no brains were bursted, or at the very least no units were lost to the spell. And then we block off the Boar Boys and reposition our Drake guns and our Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes alike. Trollhammer torps are going to start trying to go after that enemy Savage Orc Shaman, who is staggering and is having a difficult time actually approaching us, and will instead back off. Good job to him, and probably the appropriate move. We have 2 of our artillery pieces of providing support from the 2 bridges that they're on, and we are still managing to hold back the big old tide of enemies. Over here, we've got 4 enemies that have moved on in, 2 units of Savage Orcs and 2 units of Savage Orc Error Boys. The units that we're holding them back with are a single Thane, who will just distract them or countercharge them long enough, hopefully, for our Iron Drakes to get their volleys in. And then, of course, the Quarrelers to provide support. We can see the range of the Quarrelers is right here, and that's where we want to engage so that they keep on firing. Plus the 1 artillery piece that's helping out there as well. Contrary to what I was expecting over here, where the main assault will be, however, the enemy has decided not to go here, where our biggest concentration of troops is. A little bit odd. I would expect the Orcs to charge here rather than here, but oh well. And they're going to go where we're a lot more sparsely defended, which could potentially be pretty darn interesting, and we'll just hope that these Thunderers with Drake guns and stuff can hold the enemy back. Back here, the enemy Lord has dropped at last, as it's been brought down by the concentrated fire from those Trollhammer torpedoes, though by distracting us it has allowed the Trolls, and it looks like some more Boar Boys to close the distance. Frankly, this is a lot of elite units for only 2 units of Dwarf Warriors and Miners to hold back, so we're going to help them out. The summoning of the Ancestral Shield Bearers should provide a nice wall of units that the enemy will not easily be able to get through. Especially since, being ethereal, they almost mimic the type of unit that the Savage Orcs themselves are, since they're super physically resistant. Alright, down go the Savage Orc Boar Boy Biggins, or at least some of them, as the Troll Hammers continue to drop down among them. Obviously, they're not nearly as powerful as the Troll Hammers we have in, for example, Grimbrindle's army. But they should still do good work, and we do have Miners now backing off and supporting by dropping those blasting charges among them, since the Miners are no longer busy holding the enemy back. With the help of those shield bearers, and of course those 2 artillery pieces are still providing support by smashing rocks into the enemy blob. And there we go, very, very nice, and it looks like the enemy has failed to break through this choke point, which is a good sign, as the enemy's reinforcements, the second full stack, the Wa of nothing but Savage Orcs, has arrived. Out here, unfortunately, our platform is down to about 1400 HP, and while the Drake guns continue firing down on the enemy below, they probably won't be doing so, at least in the exact same manner, for too much longer, as the enemy will finally bring down that platform. And unlike Grudge Rakers, I believe these guys don't do as well or nearly as well in melee, so we do have to be careful about that. On the bright side, though, this first army is nearly done for, and those units that were attempting to breach this platform are nearly gone, with only 1 remaining. And now that we've seen off the enemy over on both of these sides, our units are going to start moving back to where they can support, and that includes the additional artillery pieces. Alright, now since we don't want these guys with their massive orc horde rushing up towards where that platform was, at least not a second time, we're actually going to start moving... Dude, that is a lot of Savage Orcs. We're going to actually start moving our Longbeards and a few of the other units towards them, in the hopes of essentially baiting them into attacking us. And by the looks of it, reasonably successfully. I say reasonably because it looks like the enemy is just splitting in half. Half of the big old orc horde heading towards our Longbeards, and the other half still seeking to go up that platform. Thus, we are moving more Quarrelers that way to protect the platform, and the Longbeards will just have to do their best to hold back the Orc Boys. Fortunately, the battle is nice and visible, at least where the blasting charges smack into the enemy and light them up for us. And now that we've drawn some of them in, we're going to draw them back a little bit, because we have a little bit of a crossfire situation going on here. Thunderers, organ guns, Thunderers with Drake guns, all ready to fire down into the blob below, which they wouldn't have been able to do nearly as well if the enemy were still stuck essentially outside the settlement. It does, however, unfortunately allow at least some of the enemy Boar Boys to peel away from the Longbeards blocking them, and distract at least 1 of the units of Drake guns, but that's alright. The organ gun at least is still firing into this big old blob, and our artillery are moving closer and closer, getting ready to start firing. There we go, seeing those Grudge Settler rocks smash into that big old pile of enemies. This Grudge Thrower And then this grudge thrower over here, and then I believe this grudge thrower as well, over all those bridges. I think our grudge thrower positioning in this particular battle is very, very good, and it essentially will clinch the battle for us. Even if our basic units start breaking, the enemy has to move in these big old hordes, and we have essentially the entire settlement covered by at least 3 artillery pieces at a time. The furthest one is not able to support, but with a 3 firing, it's good. I think the only thing that I messed up was I deployed the Grudge Settler artillery piece here, and what I really should have done is deployed it here so it could help out with this, because it's now not helping. But it did obviously see off the first wave of enemies, so we're still okay. Enemies are not okay at all. The bounce power has shifted to about 80% in our favor. The boar boys still having a very difficult time attempting to break through those miners and longbeards as these stones continue to rain from the sky. Not even sure whether the orcs can tell us between the regular Dowie and their Dowie Jar cousins. Especially since we're currently occupying a Chaos Dwarf territory. And it looks like the Boar Boys have given up and will run out of there, and by the looks of it, the big ol' horde of melee and infantry will do the same. And as they run away, more rocks will drop down upon them from our grudge throwers, and the quarrelers and the units of and grudge rakers will shoot them in the back, or drake guns. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. That was really fun. The minor settlement battles have been so darn rare in this campaign. We've only gotten a few of them over the course of the entire campaign, and I guess defensive sieges also. We've had a few defensive sieges, but they're still few and far between compared to regular battles. Mostly because the AI is generally too cowardly to attack unless it's got basically a guaranteed win. Anyway, enemies are going to be running for a while, and we'll do our best to do as much damage to them all as possible, but we can do it off screen. Alrighty, there we go. Looks like we were able to hold off the massive tide of savage orcs thanks to those choke points, despite the sort of random confederated nature of Thick Proudbeard's army. Just gotta change one of those 3 words and it'll be nice and Slaneshi. But anyway, the settlement garrison and his army are pretty okay. We're gonna heal him up and hopefully we could chase down the enemies. For whatever reason, the game decides that WAs don't disperse after a loss, which I think is wrong. I feel like they would. Especially if the war boss that the WA was following was dead, the WA would fall to infighting as the other bosses basically vied for supremacy. But anyway, we'll heal up. Nice job. Alright there. Oh, I thought, I had assumed that this thing had stopped, as in, we hadn't seen it in a while. It's turn 107, I mean, damn. It does take a while for the Whispers of the Eyeless thing to actually activate, but whatever. I guess we want to be rewarded. Fortunately, unlike most other factions, most of this stuff doesn't matter to us, whereas Winds of Magic Reserve would be crippling for plenty of other factions. This is irrelevant, and our growth is like plus 500 in every single settlement, if not plus 600, so we don't care. I want to be rewarded. And we get the Prophet yet. Trickster Cult, good. Ally occupies settlement. Bone Rattle is destroyed. Ooh. Looks like Malachi won't have to move down there themselves, and it looks like Serena Katrin does manage to take it. I love it. All you need to do is give your allies a few million in gold, and they become somewhat useful. Isn't that shocking? Ally begins outpost, Lamp of East, Charmed, whatever. Malice in Underworld is actually, funnily enough, a great trait for almost every single lord, but not the range lords like Joseph of Zorn, so oh well. Combatant Protector, Druki Destroyer, Master Mason, Constructor, Lots of enemy Dark Elves killed in battle, unsurprisingly. Troll Slayer, Stonemason, Confederation between Broken Axe and Skull Smashers, eh? Well, that's lovely for them, I guess. Not going to be so lovely once we start working on them, though. And Red Axe of Karak, 8 Peaks, not needed for you, sir. Ambusher discovered, ready for duty. Tech. Oh, I should have checked where that ambusher was discovered. That was a beastman somewhere. And okay, so we do now have the profit thing. Oh, this is gonna be hilarious. As soon as we kill 100 or 10,000, I was gonna say 100,000, 10,000 enemies in battle, we get the XP gain for characters plus 100%. Meaning most of our other lords that are not yet at rank 50 will probably go up to rank 50 at that point. Lovely. And okay, wait, what is? Huh, I couldn't chew. Okay, you really need to chase these guys down to make sure they're dead for good because they're annoying me. Kill this. Die. Oh, I didn't quick save it. Please don't screw me on this game. Please. Whatever. Ooh, okay, that would have been bad. Especially after an end turn. Anyway, enemy killed in battle in the skill points. Anyway, you can... Oh, it's because they take 2 turns. Well, whatever. You could just use some global recruitment. Why Hammerers? Just because. And just because I just want to send them out here to kill this, so that this can be transferred to the Great Orthodoxy. For whatever reason, they're not fighting this. I think soon we'll declare war on the Fecondites and have them attack. Well, have all of our allies hopefully start fighting them. At least that's the dream. And also, I do believe, unless I'm mistaken, our Confederation debuff is now gone. Meaning, you join Confederation.
Feast and drink.
Beautiful. Alrighty, and Kislev foothills secured, Confederation is ours, and we are very much nearing to the wiping out of the Red Eye and approaching the Silver Pinnacle. Also, Joseph of Zorn, before I forget you, bud. Got another frickin' Skaven army. They'll probably land at Tidal Flats, though on the other hand, maybe them... Maybe using Tidal Flats as bait isn't the worst thing in the world. I would like you to sack Ruined Landing. We don't really care about it. We're going to transfer it anyway. Then I would like you to go here and wipe this army out for good. Auto-resolve. Quick save. Let's not crash it. And then auto-resolve. And then we'll use this for healing and destroying what remains of that army. And... like so. Alrighty, then we either move to Brewer's Lair, back through to Tidal Flats to deal with the Skaven. Might need to generate another sort of Guardian army here, and just to hold back, because the Skaven are just going to keep on coming and coming, as they do. The other option would be to simply put you into ambush stance. Oh, we wouldn't be able to, would we? I wanted to put him into ambush stance near Tidal Flats, though I suppose if you land here... You know what, maybe that is better. We don't necessarily have to take Ruined Land, although the garrison will revive. Nah, screw, just take it, whatever, it's all good. Occupy. Alright, we're gonna trade this to the Ogres anyway, assuming that they don't, you know, redeclare hate/war on us. Anyway, Obsidian Blade, and there we go. How do you feel about us now? They still don't like the military actions against Hag Grief and stuff. Just out of curiosity, how much is Tidal Flats worth to you? What about you breaking your non-aggression pact with Hag Grief and Clan Ricket? What about... and Red Cloud? And what about breaking your trade agreements with Hag Grief? We'll give you our trade agreement. What about breaking your military access with nobody? And I guess that's good. And then we'll do non-aggression pact, and then we'll do military access. We're not going to take their money. We'll just leave them here and give them this territory. They are technically allied with our enemies, but once they betray them with all the kinds of betrayals here, I think we should be good. And then I guess there's no other nearby factions that will hate on us for being friends with these ogres. I just want somebody to hold this territory here, basically, because it's too much yellow territory, and there's got to be a limit to the point that we keep holding territory that we don't want or need. Lovely. Alrighty, now I guess you can't take Tidal Flats, and I know you can't take Bajorak's last stand. You could take Thundergut's hold, but not Bajorak's. I think we'll be good. And then once we trade them Ruined Landing, presumably that'll allow us to just straight up go into a defensive alliance and get them to declare war on these other nearby factions, hold these hills that we don't want, maybe hold these swamplands, and etc, etc, etc. I think they will serve their purpose. Oh, the heck is this? You can't take Darkhold. You might want to, but you can't. Anyway, folks, with that, we're obviously out of time. We had lots of great battles in this particular episode. We've achieved 1 million gold per turn, and, well, it was, well, a bunch of good stuff happening. Plus, our allies have started to get to work, which is great as well. We can even see the little arrows from them moving around. And you, Joseph, will be able to approach Talabayam, and we're going to send you north to attack Festus and other stuff with your caravan. I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, more dwarfs to come, folks, so stay tuned. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as they will determine how long we keep on dwarfing for. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.